You have X has a lot of experts. Any expert you want, you could go to X and get analysis of news. So basically, what news media should be doing, mainstream media should be doing, is basically just analysis, is just give us insights. That's what the former Nation Media Group CEO, that is Linus Gitai, said. That is the mainstream media basically is supposed to, is going out of and maybe the future is talk show. So basically, you have the station room, and I think for Spice FM or even for Nation FM, they should not stop at 10 a.m. Maybe they could do a 24-hour just talk show, only talk shows. I think that's the way they are going to survive. Otherwise, we are streaming music. So why give us a program on music? So basically, it's going to be. I think talk radio is surviving. At least that's what when I see in America, I see talk radio is surviving. Talk radio basically talk radio is surviving in America, so you can't be sure that talk radio will survive in America, and I think that's how you can be sure. And so podcast and radio is merging. Then basically now news will just come along the way, but you should be now content is still king. But I think a lot of Kenyan, maybe American also, if you don't talk about politics and celebrities, then it's very very hard to be able to, if you don't talk about politics and celebrities, then it's very hard to be able to get audiences for your numbers. So basically, and for Eric Latiff, I think is going to turn around Nation FM, and I think they need to be able to add on to some other names, because remember, there's Jeff Koinanga, there's still Maina Kageni. On the other side, there is Maina Kageni and Mwalimu Kingangi. Of course, then there is Swahili Radio, you have Radio Citizen, you have Radio Milala, you have Radio 47. So I guess that mainstream media is undergoing a change. The market is splintering, and you'll have independent journalists being able to be platforms on their own. I think that's what's going to happen. Independent media will be platforms on their own, and that's how then the mainstream media is going to change. So that's why basically then Eric Latiff is going to Nation FM. So, what do you think about the prospects of mainstream media in Kenya? What do you think is the prospect of mainstream media, not just in Kenya but globally? I think you have a media analyst. I think they called her City Girl. She was saying monetizing of content. Monetizing of content is so hard. I think in Kenya you have monetizing. People don't want to pay for news. That's the sad thing. People don't want to pay for news. So now but the advertisements are so few. The advertisements on online media. That's why Nation scrapped off free content. Nation Standard, they scrapped off free content on their website because it's very hard. I think the revenues they are getting from Google advertising is very very minute. So what do? They say you must pay for this content, but then that will call for another strategy. I think basically because if you are going to give me, if I'm going to pay for news, then this news better not be, better be very insightful, better not be provided out there. That's why you have these media houses and then being able to prime their content. So maybe the strategy they need to adopt is to have a paywall, that maybe have two segments of news. Have news that is free, have content that is free that can be accessed by everyone, maybe political and celebrity gossip, because this is one that is easily gotten. Then you have the other one under paywall. So maybe what you could have under paywall is this insightful content, and I think maybe they could increase the number of columnists maybe from two. I think they do two every weekday, and then maybe four on Saturday, and then maybe eight on weekends. But they could do, maybe why not have opinion on page one, for instance, so that you could have this content and then go outside and just be content that can really be insightful. So maybe they need to tie up the content so that you can have free content which everyone can get. This is the gossip that you can get everywhere, and then you have under paywall you have that insightful content. And it is surprising that the newspapers that have been able to monetize, media that have been able to monetize, are media in a niche sectors. Think about media in business and finance. They have been able to monetize. Look at the Wall Street Journal. It is the world has the largest number of subscribers. That is the Wall Street Journal because it gives insights on markets, on finance, on business. The latest business roundup you can get from the Wall Street Journal. Maybe I think maybe Business Daily is doing better than Nation newspaper. So basically, in monetizing, it is the niche content that is doing better than because celebrity and political gossip we can get it free of charge. So what else can you sell us? That's why you have a lot of business and finance content being able to be monitored. And I think you can see for the likes of Wall Street Journal, the average reader of the Wall Street Journal has a net worth of $7 million. So you can imagine that's why they are able to sell that information. So these are changing times for the media landscape, and I think it's going to be that way for. So it's not just going to be an easy ride for Eric Latiff. Not many people know Nation FM after it was shut down in 2016. Remember, they tried to rebrand. They said they moved from Nation FM to Easy FM and then back to Nation FM because I think they wanted Easy FM to differentiate from the larger Nation brands. But then, of course, it was not making any money. You had you had a lot of the program controllers they wanted a different branding for Easy FM, but then Easy FM changed to Nation FM. So we'll see the media landscape. And remember, advertising also is being taken by these online platforms. So basically, you had Robert Alai, a Kenyan blogger, Robert Alai, who said that there should be a law so that if you are a business in Kenya, then you don't advertise in online platforms because these profits go to maybe American companies. But I don't know how that can be affected. But I think a lot of advertising is going online. Of course, I think not many, but I don't think it's quite a significant chunk. I don't think many, other than the loan apps, I don't think there are many advertisers online. I think the reason why the CPM rates, if you don't know, the CPM rates basically, I think it's the click, the cost per click or the cost per view. So that's what they call the CPM rates. That's the cost per view. I think in Kenya it's very in Africa it's very low because not many African businesses advertise online because they say that not many people still are online. The people who are online don't have a lot of money, so the CPM rates, especially for YouTube, are very low. That's why if you have an audience in that is based outside, then you make much more money on YouTube. If you have an audience, say that is based in America, then you make much money on YouTube than you make in Kenya. So that's why then it goes a long way to be able to say that then this new media is going to struggle. It's going to be about CPM rates. The CPM rates in Kenya are low, in Africa are low, but I think in America, because most advertisers in America have most advertisers in America have gone online, and I think that's what killed the classified advertising. I think classified advertising is basically online advertising. That's what killed the local newspapers in America. That's what killed local news in America. That is classified advertising. That's what now you get in online advertising, and of course that of course comes up with many issues first, such as being tracked online, because remember, if something is free on the internet, then basically you are the product. That's just the way it is. If something is free on the internet, then you are the product basically. That's why when you Google something, then basically maybe if you Google electronics, then basically after that you get adverts on electronics, lots of them from any website you visit, because if you that is, if you get something free on the internet, then you are the product. And I think Apple, is it Siri? Siri of Apple. It was fined about $50 million for collecting user information, private information, and then sharing it to marketers. So that's how online marketers get their information. That is silly. Basically, that's their business model, because if you're going to scout through Google websites, then basically they will serve you adverts. That's how Google makes $70 billion per year in revenue. That's the business model online, and I think maybe that's just another issue altogether. So, what do you think is the future of mainstream media in Kenya? And I think the CPM rates, so maybe if more African advertisers move online, then there will be more people coming online, and that's how we'll be able to have people in YouTube earning more money. Because I think in America you have lots of YouTube millionaires. Look at this boxer. I quite forget his name. He is a YouTuber, but was paid lots of money because people will be coming to watch the fight on his YouTube channel. So that's it. Looking at Eric Latiff on why he is leaving Spice FM. That's Eric Latiff leaving Spice FM. Then what else do you have? So then what else happened in the week? And another thing that happened in the week is KCSE exams. If you are not in Kenya, KCSE basically is high school exit exam in Kenya. In America, they call, I think you have the SAT or the ACT. SAT, that is if you want to join a college in America, then basically you got to take the high school exit exams, SAT. So this week the high school exit exams KCSE results were announced, and I think there were about 1,600 A's. There were 1,600 A's. So basically, this is a lot of people are calling for the return of the education minister Fred Matiang'i, because they think the number of A's is getting too much. I think it's too many A's. 1,600 A's. Of course, I think about 5,000, 7,000 A minuses. So basically, the people who got C plus and above were about 25%. So I think maybe the mean grade of going to university will be raised to a C plus. I think the mean grade of going to university will be raised to a C plus, and I think it's of course it's a good thing. But I think maybe those are too many people going to universities. It used to be that during the Moi era, only 10,000 Kenyans used to qualify. 10,000 students used to qualify to go to university. So now it is about 150,000. So you can imagine. That's why these days the graduates have no jobs, because there are just too many degrees around. Because I think all the technical institutes were converted to universities. Maybe that's the problem we have. Too many technical institutes, about 30, 35 of them, about 40. They were all converted to universities. So basically, that shows you that we don't prize going to technical institutes, maybe getting a certificate in plumbing, getting a certificate in maybe in wiring, maybe getting a certificate in building and construction. We don't want those skills. We want these white collar degrees, maybe a BSc in mathematics, in commerce, Bachelor of Commerce. So that shows you very much how maybe Kenya, but this is a global problem. Everyone wants a white collar job. No one wants these practical jobs. No one wants to go and build a house, maybe to learn welding. But there are the jobs that are they are the jobs that are available for the most part. I think for so that shows you 25% of Kenyans got of Form 4 candidates. That's about a grade 12 in the American system. So that's 25% got grade C plus and above. Will all of them be absorbed into university? That's the question we must ask. And are there jobs for them when they finish school? Are there jobs for these graduates when they finish school? These days in Kenya, Kenya is now like Nigeria. Nigeria, you have doctors who are bus drivers. Basically, you have in Nigeria, you have doctors that are bus drivers. You have doctors, engineers that are selling eggs on the street, that are hawking things on the street. So it's so bad. The job situation in Kenya, in Africa, and I think just around the world is so bad, because we are training too many graduates, but there are not enough job opportunities for them. And I don't think that we have what we call jobless growth. Jobless growth is where the economy is growing, but it is not creating enough jobs. The economy is growing, yes, but it is not creating enough jobs. So you have too much wealth concentrated in the hands of a few people. So that's why I think then that is why we are suffering. So basically, what I think needs to happen is there needs to be concerted efforts in order that we create enough clean, decent earning jobs for our graduates. Otherwise, how will what will justify? Parents are selling their land to send their kids to school, and they believe I did not succeed because I did not go to school. So no parent wants their child to just leave at Form 4. A Form 4 certificate, that's a high school diploma in America. A Form 4 certificate these days in Kenya doesn't get you much, of course. If you are seeking employment, of course, you could go and start a business, but then what is the likelihood that that business is going to succeed? That's what you need to ask yourself. What is the likelihood that that business is going to succeed? So basically, that means we are not creating enough jobs, and maybe that's why President Ruto is going out to Saudi Arabia, is going out to Qatar, is going out to maybe Lebanon, trying to seek jobs for these Kenyan graduates that have papers but have no jobs. But are we really sure that that is enough? I think in a place such as Saudi Arabia, housemaids, or what we call nanny in America, they are paid just about 35,000 shillings per month. In America, the nannies are paid about 35,000 shillings. That's about $350 per month. But of course, this is the starting salary of most jobs of graduates. But then someone says, yes, we've had horror stories in Saudi Arabia, basically where our people are killed in Saudi Arabia. We've heard of horror stories where housemaids are killed in Saudi Arabia. But then what do you do? Someone has no job, so they say, at least even if I die, it's better than being poor here in Kenya. So I think the unemployment situation in much of Africa, I think, is just dire. So President William Ruto came with a platform that he needs to create the jobs here, and that he needs to be able to create the right. Of course, the government says these days it doesn't create the jobs, but it creates enabling environment. So that's the excuse. That the excuse for government is not to create jobs, but to create an enabling environment. So that's what they say. They want to create an enabling environment so that investors can come here. But look at the investors that are coming. 100 businesses have closed shop in the recent past, and more than 100 companies have shut down their operations in Kenya. So does that tell you that the cost of doing business in Kenya is too high because of the taxes of the Ruto regime? The taxes are just so high. The businesses cannot be sustained. So how do you I think the KRA, that's the Revenue Authority of Kenya, when they see your business, maybe they just see as another avenue to milk you. So basically, and I think you cannot tax your way to prosperity. That's what we need to know. That's what we need to know, that basically you cannot tax your way to prosperity. Basically, what we need to do, provide enough jobs so increase the income the tax bracket. That's the fair means to do it. That's the fair means. Increase the tax bracket. Make as many people as possible have money in their pocket so that then you can increase the tax bracket and be able to tax them. You don't tax people to prosperity. Basically, it hasn't worked anywhere in the world. Nowhere in the world has taxing people to prosperity works, because if you strain a business, how is it going to employ more people? The issue is, if you want to employ more people, if you want to have more people in the bracket, you need to incentivize businesses to succeed so that then they get to hire more people. When they hire more people are formalized, more people come within the tax bracket. That is how you are able to employ more people. Otherwise, if you don't employ more people, then that doesn't just work. That doesn't work if you don't if businesses are not supported to create wealth and employment, then no more people will come within the tax bracket, and so you will be taxing those businesses. I don't know who the economic advisors of President Ruto are. Who are the economic advisors of President Ruto? How do you tax a business to death. If it closes down, those businesses lose jobs and you don't have people to tax. You don't have people in the tax bracket, and this is nothing to do a report on, nothing to commission a report on. So I hear that President Ruto has commissioned a report on has commissioned a report on basically that is has commissioned a report on why many businesses are leaving Kenya. So do you really need to commission a report? Look at Cadbury. Cadbury is leaving Kenya. That's Cadbury chocolate. It has figured that it is easier to manufacture to produce the Cadbury in South Africa. Cadbury chocolate will now be produced in South Africa, so they will retain just a small office for marketing in Kenya. So you can see those are people that are engineers, technicians that will no longer have jobs, food processors that will no longer have jobs. So who basically advises the regime of President William Ruto that you don't tax your way to prosperity. You don't tax your way to prosperity. You increase the tax base so that more people can fall within the tax bracket, and then when they fall within the tax bracket, then you can have a larger tax base, then you can get more money. And of course this is more a right-wing strategy. Create the enabling environment for businesses to prosper. Have tax breaks. Maybe say if you want to set up operations in Kenya, maybe for the first 2 years you will not be required to pay any tax. Maybe that's what they need to do. Maybe for the first year you will not be required to pay any tax. Then after that, then that is when you are going to pay any taxes. So that's what you need to be able to do. Otherwise, if you say that basically we are going to tax your way to prosperity, then that is why Kenya is limping. And of course, someone said when we demand for change, when we demand for accountability, they compare Kenya to Sudan. That's what they say. When we demand accountability, they compare Kenya to Sudan. When they want to tax us, they compare Kenya to Singapore. So why not at least bring government services, bring services so that at least in a place such as the Scandinavian countries, they are taxed so much, about 60%, but they can't see the services and that what their taxes are doing. They can't see the services. They can't see to go to a place such as Sweden. University is free. You are even paid a monthly allowance to go to university in a place such as Sweden. So when you get work and you are taxed up to 60% of your income tax, you know that hospitals is going to better extension services is going to improve services. If you are going to tax people and all they see is politicians stealing that money, building palatial homes, buying the latest helicopter, buying the latest jets, so how do you think then people will go? People are going to avoid paying taxes or even avoid taxes altogether, because remember the illegality is in tax evasion. Basically, it is illegal. Tax evasion is illegality, not tax avoidance. Tax avoidance is keeping your taxes as low as possible. So basically, I think this whole came about because of that is the Form 4 graduates that are doing exams. 25% got a minimum university entry grade, that is C plus and above. That's about 250,000. They got above grade C plus. So they are going to go to university, but then what jobs are they assured? We are now going to be like Nigeria, where doctors will be bus drivers, doctors will be motorcycle border riders, doctor engineers will be selling eggs on the streets. That's the kind of economy that we are bequeathing our children, and I think it's not a very good thing. And maybe the other thing we need to address, basically, it's not bad to take in debt, but what is this debt going to do? What is this debt going to do? In many African countries, we are not only taking in debt, but then that debt is not is going to basically projects that have no bearing on people's livelihood. So that's why I say that basically we need to be able to just figure out how we are going to be able to solve the most common issues. Basically, don't tax us to death. That's what these African leaders need to know, that they don't need to tax us to death. So basically, that's what we need to know. Of course, that's another issue. Of course, the issue I was talking about was the release of the KCSE result. That if you are not a Kenyan, KCSE basically is the high school exit exam that is done in Kenya. Basically, that's the high school exit exam. Basically, in America, I think they call it the SAT or the ACT. Basically, if you want to go to a college such as Harvard, and then of course the other issue from the release of the KCSE results. The other issue we'll discover is that these top-notch students will not study in Kenya. They will study in American universities. You can be sure these top students will all get full scholarships to go and study in America, the so-called Ivy League university. So these top Kenyan students, the air students, you can be sure they are going to apply for scholarships. And a university such as Harvard, it has an endowment of about $53 billion. So that means it has an endowment of $53 billion. That's Harvard. That means it can basically get any student from anywhere in the world. That's Harvard. It can get any student from anywhere in the world. It can attract the best and brightest from any corner of the world. This is what makes the American economy prosper. Basically, they can attract the best and brightest brains from any corner of the world. So you can be sure once they finish college, maybe at Harvard, maybe at MIT, maybe at Yale or Princeton, they will not be coming back to Kenya. They will not be coming back to Kenya. They are going to add to the American economy. That's why brain drain is a huge issue. We are losing our best and brightest brains, not just Kenya, but Africa or even developing countries in particular. We are losing our best and brightest brains. They are going to go. They are being taken by these developed countries. They are going to serve basically, they are going to get lucrative jobs in America, and of course, they will, of course, they bring back remittances, and remittances, I don't deny remittances is the largest source of foreign exchange earnings in much of Africa. Remittances are really the largest source of foreign exchange earnings in a lot of African countries. That is remittances. But then, basically, I think it is the former Vice Chancellor of JKUAT University, that is Professor Nick Wanjohi. He says that Professor Nick Wanjohi says that an African migrant to America contributes at least 40 times more to the American economy than they contribute to their home country in terms of remittances. That's what he says. That's what Professor Nick Wanjohi says. That is, an African migrant to America contributes at least 40 times more to the American economy than they do to their home country in terms of remittances. So basically, Africa, we are losing our best and brightest brains, and this is not good. Africa, remember, Philip Emeagwali, the Nigerian American Philip Emeagwali, he says that Africa would still be poor even if $1 trillion was poured into Africa, simply because it has no intrinsic value. This $1 trillion, our best brains left. That's why they are going to develop patents for American companies. They are going to develop innovations for American companies, and then of course they will make money. People think that it is only whites who develop these patents, but African migrants are basically are also able to. African brains have these patents. Look at so basically, we are losing our best and brightest brains to America, and this is something that should concern us. We should be able to create the right kind of jobs in Africa so that we can make these brains stay at home. I will do. I think in 1989 you had the top student, which was Naim Samnakay. I think the top student in 1989 was Naim Samnakay from the Alliance High School. He's now a doctor in Australia. He went to Australia in 1990. The top student was Fred Were from Starehe. He is now a doctor in the United States. In 1981, the top student among the top students was Humphrey Watanga. He went to Harvard, and of course that one returned. He is now the Commissioner General of KRA, the Revenue Authority, in 1992. The top student was Gilbert Tengeta. He went to from Mango High School. He is now an engineer in the US. In 1993, the top student, I think, was Washeni Kanyaru. He went to Harvard. He now works in Wall Street. So now he is in America. Then 1994, the top student was Kilimania Muridi. The top KCSE student was Kilimania Muridi. He was from Alliance High School. He went to MIT, that is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He is now he is now, I think, a computer engineer in America in 1995. I'm not sure, but among the top students was James Mwangi. He went to Harvard from Alliance High School. He is now a management consultant in South Africa. 1996, I'm again not sure, but one of the top students was Nathaniel Choge. He is now I think a financial consultant in America. In 1997 was Mwashuma Nyata from Alliance High School. He is now, I think he is now a financial consultant in America, I think by SoftBank. So that's Mwashuma Nyata from Alliance High School. He went to Harvard, then went to be a Rhodes Scholar. In 1998, the top student was Timothy Zairu. He went to from the Alliance High School. He went to Harvard and is now a computer engineer. Was at Microsoft. Then in 1999, the top student was Samuel Gikandi from the Alliance High School. He went to Massachusetts Institute of Technology (MIT) on a full scholarship. That's in America. He returned. I think He worked at Goldman Sachs in Morgan Stanley in Hong Kong, then came back, founded a company, Africa Stocking. He's one of the board members of Stanbic Bank, Standard Bank. I don't know whether it's Standard Bank or Stanbic Bank. And then in 2000, the top student was Darti Shampati from Mango High School. He went to University of Adelaide in Australia. He has a PhD. I don't know whether he finished his PhD. That is I don't know whether he finished his PhD, that is that Shampati. But of course, if you went to Maths and Mango Maths contest in 2000, you remember that Shampati, he scored 29 out of 30. I think he scored 99% in Maths and Physics. That is that Shampati. He is now, I think the last time I checked, he was a defense software engineer he was a defense software engineer at software engineer at I think Apogee Defense Systems in Australia. So I think maybe he's an Australian citizen. Then in 2001, the top student was Amit Monga. He went to McGill University in Canada. Now he is a software. I think he works for a bank in Canada. So that's Amit Monga from Starehe Boys Center. In 2002, the top student was Paul Bondi from Kenya Kine High School. At least that one, he was the first one to study in the country. So you can imagine, since 1989, only in 2002 did a Form 4 best student study in the country. That is Paul Bondi. He went to University of Nairobi to pursue medicine. He is now a doctor and, of course, a motivational speaker and an author also. Of course, that's Paul Bondi in 2002. Then, of course, I don't have the stats for 2006, 2004. 2005, the top student was James Kandie Rotich. So James Kandie Rotich went to Massachusetts from Moy High School, Kabarak. That is James Kandie Rotich. He went to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT in the US. He now is I think he was a computer engineer, a software engineer at Google. So basically, you can imagine the kind of brains we are losing. Then in 2006, I think, was among the top students was Herman Mutiso. Herman Mutiso from the Alliance High School. So this one was given a scholarship to both MIT and Harvard, but he chose MIT instead. And so what happened the following year, Harvard did not select a student from Alliance because in those days the former principal of Alliance High School, Christopher Haimba, Basically, he could recommend a donkey to Harvard and it could be admitted. You can imagine that is the former principal of Alliance High School, that is Christopher Hamba. He could recommend a donkey to Harvard and it will be admitted. So the following year, Harvard did not pick a student from Alliance because this Herman Mutiso chose MIT instead of Harvard. So he is now a software engineer at Google. So you can imagine. And of course, it had to take Principal Christopher Hamba to travel all the way to Harvard, that's in Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. He had to travel all the way to Harvard to reassure Harvard admission officials that Harvard students do not do not consider any other university in the world other than Harvard. So you can be sure. So you can have a school, Alliance High School, deep in Africa, deep in Kenya, basically sending more students to the Ivy League than any other high school outside of the United States. So this is Hannah during those days. I'm not sure whether Alliance is sending students to Harvard by the numbers they used to send, or to the Ivy League, maybe the others like Yale, like MIT, like Princeton. But you can't be sure that this is the Alliance High School. In those days, it used to send so many students to the Ivy League that basically it was outside of the United States. So Alliance could compete with elite American high schools such as Phillips Exeter Academy, Phillips Andover, Groton School, Harvard Westlake Academy, and or Thomas Jefferson High School. So these are the top feeder schools to the likes of Harvard, Yale, and MIT. But then Alliance is able to compete with these students. So that shows Kenya and Africa has the brains to compete with the best and brightest brains. But then what do we need to do? We need to be able to give these people capital. Why don't we give these people $1 million in capital so that then they start businesses, they start high-end companies in Africa? That's the way to be able to make us competitive. We lose these brains, they go outside, they develop those countries, we get nothing in return. So basically, our our education budgets are about subsidies for America. Basically, our education budget are about supplements to American higher education system. They get our brains so cheaply. They don't help us at all. And that's why we need to address, if we are not going to create the right kind of conditions, if in Kenya a politician is worth billions, then a doctor is earning 15,000. What do you expect? Do you expect these brains to stay in Kenya? Do you expect these brains to stay in Africa? When a politician who has barely no level of education, who has barely never created a product, and that's the hallmark of Africa. That's the paradox of Africa, that you have billionaires that cannot point you to a single company they run, a single product that they invented. Basically, being billionaires, the likes of, I'll not mention names here, but you have billionaires that never created any product at all. You have billionaires that never created any you have billionaires that never invented anything, never invented anything, and they are worth billions. And then you have a doctor earning 15,000, earning 25,000, and then you are telling me that basically they will stay in this country. They will live. They don't care. At least people will live, and that's why then in Africa we must be able to keep these brains at home. Why not have every professor maybe get 10 million shillings in research? Why not have that? Why not have every professor get 10 million in research? That's the way to resuscitate the African economy. That's the way to resuscitate the Kenyan economy. If we don't do that, then Africa is going to suffer largely. So basically, I was looking at an event of the week. Of course, that was the release of the KCSE results. The KCSE, if you are not a Kenyan, KCSE is a high school exit exam, secondary school for those who pursue secondary school. And then another event of the week that happened is swearing in of a new president in Ghana. That is President John Mahama was sworn in Ghana. Remember, he won with 56% of the vote. That's President John Mahama in Ghana. So basically now Ghana is going to be Ghana is going the president already he has been sworn in. So President John Mahama ruled from 2011 to 2017. He was 2016. he was defeated by Nana Akufo-Addo, who ruled between 2016 to 2024. Now he is back in power, just like Donald Trump, becoming that is holding two terms non-consecutive, holding two non-consecutive terms. So basically, now President John Mahama was sworn in as the president of Ghana. So what is it with leadership on Africa? Why don't we elect people that are going to work for us? Why don't we elect people that are going to work for us? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Why don't we elect people that are going to work for us? And that's why when we say Africa is in a deficit because of its leadership. Basically, the voting patterns between the university professor and his cousin in the village is exactly the same. What is the surname? What is the surname? Basically, if they have the same surname as us, then basically they are like us. So we vote based on tribe. We don't vote based on issues. And basically, African political system is broken. We don't vote based on issues. We vote based on tribe. The voting pattern of the university professor and his cousin in the village is exactly the same. What is the surname of the electoral candidate? If they have the same surname as us, then basically we vote them in and then we celebrate. We say one of our own. So basically, that is something that is bringing Africa down. I think we need to have just two parties in Africa. All these briefcase parties in Africa, what are they doing to help us? That's what we need to ask. All these briefcase parties, what are they doing to help us? Basically, we need just two parties in Africa, a left of center party that's about equality of opportunity. That's a left of center party that's about equality of opportunity. That is, you get everyone to the same starting lineup. That's basically you get everyone to the same starting lineup. Basically, you bring that is you bring maybe high quality education, high quality maybe business capital building, so that then they can start at the same starting lineup. That's what builds a society excellence. And then you have a right of center party that's about individual creative genius, basically individual creative genius. And that's how maybe people that can start their own businesses that have their own ideas. So basically, in Africa, we don't need all these parties, these briefcase parties that are just about winning elections and nothing else. Basically, our parties are not bastions of ideological thought and opinion. They are just basically for winning elections, and that's why after a party loses an election, it crumbles. Look at the way African opposition parties are crumbling. Look at PDP in Nigeria. Look at ODM, and maybe Jubilee in Kenya. Look at opposition parties in Africa and the way they were crumbling. So basically, we need to be able to build political parties for posterity so that they can be bastions of ideological thought and opinion. That's the way we can remake these parties. That's the way Africa can indeed. That's the way Africa can build better leaders that are able leaders that can basically put Africa forward. We have leaders that have no idea of what it means to develop Africa. And this is why I say we need just two political parties in every African country. These tribal-based parties are why elections are tumultuous in Africa. Why elections are times when there is a strife in Africa, when there is conflict in Africa. And this is why I would say that Africa really we must do more. So what we saw this week, that is the swearing in of the Ghanaian president, that is John Mahama, who had lost the election in 2017, 2016, again in 2020, but he captured the seat. So let me look at politics globally. So I will look at politics globally in America. So in America, Trump is going to was given a non-custodial sentence. So basically, he will not face a jail term. He will not face and it's Donald Trump. In the Making America, I'm looking at Donald Trump. So he was given a non-custodial sentence. So basically, he will not go to jail. Of course, he is the incoming president of America, as the first convicted felon to be able to be elected president in America. Donald Trump really comes in with a lot of parts. So that's why I would say that basically this is uncharted territory. This is really uncharted territory we are going into, and we'll see what comes of Donald Trump. How is he going to navigate Trump? Remember, Trump is the first, second, only the second American president to win two non-consecutive terms. The first one was Grover Cleveland in 1892, and now Donald Trump, who will be the first president since 1892 to win two non-consecutive terms. So basically, some are saying, so it was a contrasting vision between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It was a contrasting vision. On the one hand, you had Donald Trump basically wanting to basically about the economy. Remember, for the fans of Donald Trump, they say the economy was strong during Donald Trump's era, and of course, for Kamala Harris, they say that she has no idea on how to develop the American economy. So basically, it was about economy for Donald Trump, while on the other hand, for Kamala Harris, it was about preserving democracy. So they say Trump will put aside all the constitutional guardrails that keep a president in check. That is, Donald Trump will put aside all the constitutional guardrails that keep our president in check. So we'll wait what Trump 2.0 presents. What does it mean for the world for Donald Trump to be elected president? So it will be an isolationist America. America isolationist because according to Donald Trump, he says America first. So what does he mean by America first? He means that America wants to retreat from the world and focus on its own internal challenges because I think according to a BBC commentator, he says that the biggest foreign policy challenge of America are its own internal problems. That's what this commentator, BBC commentator, says that the biggest foreign policy challenge for America are its own internal challenges. So basically, that's Donald Trump is going to what Donald Trump is going to do. So you have to constructing visions. Of course, some believe Trump is strong, so American enemies will not try and evoke any wars with America. So basically, he will be finding an economy that is stuttering. Remember, voters usually attribute wage gains to their own personal effort, but I think inflation, that is the increase in prices of goods and services, they say that is basically a failure by the president. So that's it for now. And that's it for now. So bye for now. Bye for now. I think I will come some other time. I will come with yet another edition of this show live. So this has been my Binda show live, where I have been looking at where I have been looking at American politics, where I have been looking at American politics, African politics, what happened in the week. Of course, in the week it was about Eric Latiff leaving Space FM for leaving Space FM for Nation FM. Of course, the problems of mainstream media. Then, of course, I looked at the release of the KCSE exam results. Of course, the high school, secondary school exit exams in Kenya, what it means for Kenya, Africa, and the world to lose our best friends. And of course, I have been looking in Africa perspectives at the swearing in of John Maham as Ghana's president. And now, of course, I have been looking at Donald Trump being given a non-custodial sentence in America. So basically, the first. He becomes the first that is a convicted felon to be elected president. He will be sworn in on January 20th, so that's about 8 days from now or 9 days from now. And of course, in ideas, I was looking at brain drain. Of course, I tied it to the KCSE story. That is the KCSE story. That is basically the living of our best and brightest brains and going to Omega. So that's it for now. Bye for now till the next time. Bye for now.